What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 135, everybody. I am your host, Sleazeball. Today's episode will be my Week 10 wide receiver tier rankings, top 36. There's 4 teams on a bye, guys, so make sure they're out of your lineups. The Cleveland Browns, you have the Green Bay Packers, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Seattle Seahawks that are all out this week, so make sure your wide receivers are out of your lineups. And before we dive into it, guys, make sure you smash that like. Make sure you smash that subscription. Turn that bell on. It helps me out a ton, guys. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support. I am running late on my rankings. We went to the polls last night, and it took 2 hours to get your votes in, man. Congratulations to Donald Trump, our new president of the United States. And if you guys want to check out my quarterback, running back, defense, kickers, all that is out. And then I'll try and get all my stardom systems out tomorrow, guys. And let's dive into the wide receivers for Week 10. So if you guys are new to the channel, here is my wide receiver board for Week 10. At the top, you have the Ballers tier, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 5. We are going to go through the top 36 here. And at the bottom, you'll see all the crazy amount of injuries here, all the teams on a bye. So you have Olave most likely out with the concussion. All the Green Bay Packers are on a bye. DK Metcalf on a bye. Deontay Johnson's just fallen out of the wide receiver in Baltimore. I think he's going to be the wide receiver 3 there. Jackson Smith and Jigba on a bye. Mike Evans hurt still. Stephon Diggs, Brandon Ayuk, Chris Godwin, Rashid Rice, Rashid Shaheed seasons are over. And Michael Pittman has just dropped out of my top 36. Crazy to say, but he's just not getting the volume. Now, heading to my wide receiver 1 on the week, it is going to be no one else but the Jettas. Oh, let's talk about Nico Collins here first, too. So I have Nico Collins right here. I'm not going to put him in the rankings yet because it says he's, they're going to evaluate him week to week here with the hamstring. But man, if he is out there this week, he's going to be a top 2 to 3 wide receiver. So keep that in mind as we dive into these wide receivers here, because without Stephon Diggs and man, the matchup that they get, if he's out there versus Detroit Lions, he could be wide receiver 1 on the week, legitimately. So we got to make sure and keep track of the updates on that. But I would put him in my Ballers tier if he is out there healthy this week. Now on to Justin Jefferson here. The Minnesota Vikings. Can you get a better matchup for Justin Jefferson? The Jacksonville Jaguars. If you subscribe to the channel or have been here before, I have 3 defenses that are the pot of golds for fantasy football. This is one of them. The Jacksonville Jaguars can't stop the quarterback. They can't stop the running back. They can't stop the wide receiver. They can't stop the tight end. They get beat everywhere. So they currently rank 29th versus the wide receiver, getting up 38.3 points per game. They do rank 12th in the red zone there, so they stingy up there a little bit. But they give up 175.1 passing yards per game just to the wide receiver position alone, which is 3rd worst in the NFL. And they give up 1.1 touchdowns to the wide receiver. And Justin Jefferson's going to go absolutely bonkers in this game. Heading down to wide receiver 2 on the week here, who is wide receiver 1 overall still. It is Jamar Chase, and he gets in just like Justin Jefferson. You are going to see the superstars shine here. You get the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday Night Football. The over-under is 52.5 points. They think the points are going to fly. So do I. The Baltimore Ravens give up 43.5 points to the wide receiver position. That's second last, 31st. In the red zone, they rank 27, so very high touchdown upside there. 187.6 pass yards per game the Ravens give up, which is second worst, only behind the Minnesota Vikings. So Jamar Chase is going to be eating in this game. And they give up 1.4 touchdowns a game just to the wide receiver position. So absolute smash play here for Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Number 3, I'm going to finally move him up here. I think it's time for the breakout. I know he played Buffalo. He usually struggles with Buffalo. He got 80 yards last week, but it's time for Tyreek Hill. It's going to be Monday Night Football. The Dolphins season is on the line here at 2-6. And I honestly think they're going to win this game. So you get the Los Angeles Rams. They rank 23rd versus the wide receiver, giving up 34 points. They rank 18th in the red zone, so they get a little better there. They're about a top 20 defense all the way around. They give up 151.9 yards to the wide receiver, which is bottom 5 in the NFL. And they give up 1.4 touchdowns to the wide receiver position a game here. So I expect Tyreek, Waddle, Tua, everybody to have a big game, especially with the season on the line. Like 2-7, and I think the Dolphins are done. So they didn't make any trades at the trade deadline. So it looks like they're going to fight it out because they played Buffalo tough. And Buffalo is a contender, man. So the Dolphins can actually hang in there. Wide receiver number 4 on the week is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, and they get the Houston Texans. Sunday Night Football, possible shootout game here. And the strength of the Texans is their run defense, not their pass defense. So their pass defense ranks 25th. They give up 36 points a game. They do rank 8th in the red zone. That's because their run defense in front seven is good. So usually when your run defense in front seven is good, you get to the red zone, your numbers get a lot better. So that's why they stingy up in the red zone there. They give up 150 pass yards a game, which is bottom 10 in the NFL, and they average 1.6 touchdowns to the wide receivers. This is a very high touchdown upside here in this game for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Number 5, it's got to be now or never from Elite Neighbors. I mean, this is the game, 6:30 a.m. California time out here, Munich. They're going to be playing the Carolina Panthers. And the Carolina Panthers, their pass defense has gotten better lately. So they used to be like bottom of the barrel. Now they're like 13th because they played a couple grunge matches, right? And they get blown out. So they get the run pounded on them more because they don't stay in a lot of games. So they rank 13th versus the wide receiver, giving up 30 points a game, 14th in the red zone, 139.6 yards, which is middle of the pack, and a touchdown a game. But this is going to be a game. I know J.C. Horn, but this is a good corner out there. This is still going to be a game where I expect League Neighbors to see 10-plus targets. Like, Danny Dimes should be feeding this superstar every single game, especially when they're going to be playing from behind. Well, not in this game maybe, but in most games. So I need to see more from League Neighbors, honestly, and this is the game that I'm going to put him in the top 5. Number 6, Garrett Wilson. The MJ catch in the end zone was absolutely disgusting last week. And look what's happened since they've gotten Devontae Adams. His numbers have gotten better. So now he's not the focal point. Now Aaron Rodgers is starting to click with both of them. You saw Devontae ball out. You saw Devontae get hurt. You saw Garrett Wilson ball out. You saw Devontae come back. You saw Devontae hit the game winner. I mean, I'm all in on the Jets bounce back this season. And the New York Jets this week are going to get a matchup that's just gold. You're going to get the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals versus the wide receiver currently. They rank 20th. They give up 34 points a game. They rank 24th in the red zone. They give up 160 pass yards, which is bottom 10. And there's a 0.9 chance for a touchdown per game for the wide receiver. And I expect Aaron Rodgers and the Jets to win this game and save their season just like the Dolphins here. Number 7 is going to be Deebo Samuel. And this one's going to be a little different here. So for Deebo, I don't like when he's out there playing running back, right? Or when the 49ers and Shanahan scheme him up because McCaffrey's out or Mason's hurt or whatever it is. This matchup is good, and it's gold, actually, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if CMC's back out there, it's really going to help Deebo Samuel. He's just been playing a different role that I'd like to see him out, or than he balls out in fantasy with. So you get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They give up 36.3 points a game. That's 27th, 5th worst. They're 21st in the red zone, so about a top 24, 25 D in both combined. 157 pass yards, which is bottom 10 in the NFL as well to the wide receiver position, and a 1.1 touchdown opportunity. And when you if CMC's back out there, it's going to Deebo's going to skyrocket. But if CMC's not back out there, I would drop Deebo down to like top 15 to 16 here. Number 8, we're going to talk about them both together here because we're on the same thing here. And I'm going to throw Puka Nacua here. So Cooper Kupp is going to be my number 8 wide receiver. Puka Nacua is going to be my number 15 wide receiver. And the Rams get the Miami Dolphins. This is not an easy matchup. Both, like I said, the Dolphins season is on the line. And so is the Rams season kind of here. So the Rams 4-4. Well, the Rams season is on the line. But in the NFC West, you have 4 teams that are all one game away. So 4-4, 4-4, 4-4, 4-5. Very, very, or 5-4 for the Cardinals. Sorry. Very close division. And the Miami Dolphins are very good versus the wide receiver and the quarterback. They rank 4th. They only give up 25.8 points. They rank 7th in the red zone. They give up 118.5 yards, which is top 5. So you got Fuller, you got Jalen Ramsey. They're probably going to be on both sides here. They line Cooper Kupp up everywhere. But in this game, I feel like it's going to be a tough game on Monday Night Football. And I honestly feel like the Dolphins win this game. It's crazy to say. But since I already talked about the Dolphins here, I'm going to go to Jalen Waddle. I forgot about him as well. So he is going to be my wide receiver 22 on the week. So I already went over the Dolphins. I just wanted to cover that as well. On to A.J. Brown. So got to pay attention here if he's out there. I'm assuming that he's going to play in this game. It says he's day-to-day. Usually day-to-days are out there. So he had that scare last week, and then everything came back fine, hopefully. And you get the Dallas Cowboys. And their season looks like it's about over. So the Dallas Cowboys rank 18th versus the wide receiver, giving up 33 points a game, 23 in the red zone, giving up 7.1. So about a top 20 defense all the way around. 145 yards, which is the middle of the pack there, and 1 touchdown per game. but they haven't had Micah Parsons. They haven't had Deron Bland. They could get that back, which could help the defense, right? But Cooper Rush is now your quarterback, and it looks like Dak may be going to IR, and CeeDee Lamb is beat up. He's day to day, just like AJ Brown, week to week. But they say optimism. I'll get to CeeDee Lamb here in a minute. But the Cowboys. I think it's just done for the Cowboys, man. On to number 10 here, Drake London, and I'm going to do them both as well. So we'll cover both players here. Go grab Darnell Mooney. So I'm not as high on Mooney when Drake London's out there. I see a couple other people like rank Mooney in the top 10. I think that's crazy in this game. I feel like it's going to be a very, very bad game script here for the Falcons versus the Saints. I know it's a division game, but the Saints are fire selling. They just sold Lattimore. I mean, all they really have is Kamara. Chris Olave is out. So you got to look at it like if Drake London or Mooney don't score early, it's probably going to be a Bijan Tyler Algier game here. So I do have Drake London still in my top 10 because I think he's the red zone target. As you saw last week, he got the touchdown right away, then he got hurt. I don't know if he got hurt on the celebration or whatever it was, but he's still the go-to guy. So when he's out there, I'm not going to put Mooney that high. The New Orleans Saints, though, they rank 21st versus the wide receiver, giving up 34 points a game. They rank 6th in the red zone, so they stingy up very well in the red zone there because they have a good front seven. Still have Chase Young. He didn't get traded. 163.3 yards. That's bottom 10 in the NFL and a 0.7 chance for a touchdown. And honestly, I think it's going to be, like I said, more of a Bijan Algier game here. That's why I have Mooney so low. Heading down to my next wide receiver. Fire him up, man. Zay Flowers just absolutely exploded last week, and I was completely wrong. I thought the Denver Broncos would put Patrick Surtain on him. He's been shadowing, wide receiver ones all year long, and he only covered him like 14%. And look what happens. They went for 30-plus points. Now you get the Cincinnati Bengals, Thursday Night Football, 52.5 over. Shootout game here. The Cincinnati Bengals rank 14th versus the wide receiver. They do rank 2nd in the red zone, which is, that's very, very nice there. So you're probably going to get more Mark Andrews status in the red zone there. And they give up 143.3 yards, which is middle of the pack. But in this game, you want every starter in this game. You want Jamar Chase. You want Zay Flowers. You want Chase Brown. You want Derrick Henry. You want Burrow. You want Lamar. I mean, the points are going to be out of control here. Maybe even Gesicki when I get to my tight ends. I mean, maybe even Gesicki and Mark Andrews pop off in this game too. So we might not even see T. Higgins. So I'm going to I'll talk about him as well too. I forgot. I put T here. I don't know if he's going to play. So he didn't practice. But if T is out here, I'm going to have him at wide receiver 24. So I know he hasn't played in a couple weeks here. I don't know what's going on, if he even really hurt or not. So he's just weird to me right now in the Bengals situation. He didn't get traded, and it's just weird. But the matchup is great. My number 12 wide receiver is going to be George Pickens. And, man, if you didn't go trade for this guy when I said buy low, you should have been buying low because look what happened. Russell Wilson is literally threw 2 touchdowns to him before the bye. They got called back, which really hurt him. But now you're getting the Commanders, and the Commanders just went out and got Marshawn Lattimore. So that's probably going to be who's locked up on Pickens. So this is going to be a tougher matchup, but he's a go-getter. He can win any jump ball. I've been so high on George Pickens. He just needed a quarterback, and now you have Russell Wilson, and the offense looks amazing. The Commanders rank 17th versus the wide receiver, giving up 32 points, 22nd in the red zone, so about a top 20 defense, 142 yards, middle of the pack there, and about 1 touchdown a game, just to the wide receiver position. So hoping that he doesn't get any call back, I feel like George Pickens is still going to score in this game, even at a bad matchup. I know they added Mike Williams as well. That's going to help Pickens, I think, a little bit. So I'm super high on George Pickens the rest of the way. Wide receiver 13, the New York Jets. We talked about the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to put Devontae Adams there. Wide receiver 14 is going to be Scary Terry McLaurin. And every single week, every single tweet or whatever it is, there's always people questioning Terry McLaurin. This guy is just balling in fantasy football. I know he had a weird stat line last game with 2 catches and 2 touchdowns and low yardage, but he still balled out. And in the matchup, so even no matter how you look at it here, so if I'm looking at it like they're going up against the Steelers, right? You're going to probably draw Porter Jr., one of the best defenses in football. The Steelers still rank 11th versus the pass. They give up 30 points a game. They do rank 4th in the red zone. Like I said, when you have a good front seven, usually your defense stingies up in the red zone. 154 pass yards a game, which is bottom 10 in the NFL. And they give up, 0.5 touchdowns a game, so low touchdown upside. But Terry McLaurin's target share is through the roof. And he's the only wide receiver they have. And people trip out. Like, should I start Terry McLaurin? This guy's startable weekly. I know the matchup is bad, but still, volume is king in fantasy football, and he's going to see a ton of it. Man, here we go. Wide receiver 16. He took a massive hit. Again, we don't know if he's going to be out there. CeeDee Lamb, you got to pay attention to the injury updates with him. But now you have Dak Prescott looking like he's heading to IR here. He popped the hammy, and it's going to be Cooper Rush. So, if CeeDee Lamb is out there, will he still see a lot of volume? Yeah. But how good will the volume be, right? You know, how good are the targets going to be from Cooper Rush? How's the offense going to look with Cooper Rush? I don't think it's going to look as good as people think. And you're going up against the Philadelphia Eagles defense. They're a nasty front seven. They rank 12th versus the wide receiver. They give up 30.5. But if they get to the red zone, the Philadelphia Eagles give up a lot of points in the red zone to the wide receiver. They rank 28th, so fourth worst there. And they give up 130.6 pass yards and 0.9 touchdowns a game to the wide receiver. But, I mean, dude, with Cooper Rush, I mean, it's super hard to rank CeeDee Lamb. I really want to put him still in the top 10 because he's CeeDee freaking Lamb. But I just think it's going to be a rough week, man. And I think CeeDee Lamb's value is really going to take a hit the rest of the season here. And it sucks, man. Number 17 is going to be DJ Moore. I'm also going to grab Keenan Allen here, who is down here in tier 5 or tier 4. So Keenan Allen is at my wide receiver 29 right now. And DJ Moore is at my wide receiver 17. And you get the New England Patriots this week. And I know, man, the Bears, they've been letting me down. I've been putting Caleb Williams on a smash start for 2 weeks in a row in great matchups, and he absolutely has choked. So you get the New England Patriots. This is another good matchup for the Bears. They rank 19th. They give up 33 points a game to the wide receiver position. They rank 23rd in the red zone, so the touchdown upside is high. They give up 144.8 yards per game, which is, bottom 15 there as well. It's just Shane Waldron in this offense. I don't know if I trust it. I mean, this is probably the lowest I've ranked DJ Moore all year. I mean, Keenan Allen's still seeing the targets, but it's not really producing much. So, and then Roma Dunze kind of had a big game. He hit the bomb, but still, this Bears offense better figure it out quick or it's going to get real, real ugly because those were easy matchups they had for passing, and it just did not work. So I'm getting really nervous on the Bears. Number 18, BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr., the Jacksonville Jaguars. Man, this is going to be a beautiful game for Brian Thomas Jr. They get the Minnesota Vikings. The only thing is so here, well, let's look at it like this first. The Minnesota Vikings rank dead last versus the wide receiver, 43.7 points per game, right? They rank 29th in the red zone, 8.4. Big body, 6'4", BTJ, red zone. Great opportunity here. 196.4 yards, dead last. 1.2 touchdowns a game just to the wide receiver position. So the only worry I have is the Jacksonville Jaguars trade away Cam Robinson, their best left tackle. You're going up against a defense that gives up tons of passing yards, but they bring the house when they blitz, man. So it's either got to be Trevor Lawrence doing it quick, or it's more likely going to be Trevor Lawrence doing it in garbage time like he has the past 2 games. So I even had Trevor Lawrence on a sit in the past 2 weeks and absolutely killed me because at the end of the game when they're down 20, he just finds a way to get touchdowns at the end because the defenses are playing light prevent, too high stacks, and they just find everyone. So it drives me nuts. But that could happen here again. You could have the Vikings blowing them out. You could have a rookie's not going to sit. So you could even have Trevor Lawrence and BTJ pop off again at the end here. And I can see that happening. That's why I have him at wide receiver 18 still. Wide receiver 19, Amari Cooper. And I'm going to put Khalil Shakir up here as well. So Khalil Shakir is at my wide receiver 25. Amari's at wide receiver 19. This is your fantasy football pot of gold. You have the Indianapolis Colts. Like I said, I have 3 defenses. They're pot of gold. This is another one. So they rank 22nd versus the wide receiver, giving up 34 points. They rank 30th in the red zone, so the touchdown upside is very high. That's 3rd worst. 156.1 yards, which is bottom 10, and 1 touchdown a game. And the Colts can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. They can't stop the wide receiver. They can't stop the tight end. This is like them. It's, when I say the pot of gold, these are those defenses that you can just start everyone against. And Amari Cooper's been struggling. I know he's day to day. I know they just acquired him and everything like that. Or no, 2 weeks ago, but still, it's time for Amari Cooper to get out there. It's time for him to have a big game. I know he got a touchdown in his first game. He only ran 12 routes in that game, so that was kind of a lucky touchdown for people that started him. And I'm saying you can start both these guys in this game because this is just an amazing matchup for the Bills. Right behind that, I talked about the Dallas Cowboys. Devonta Smith, I forgot to do him with A.J. Brown. Throw him at wide receiver 20. Wide receiver 21, Marvin Harrison. So this is tough, man. This is a really, really tough matchup. And like I said, I think the New York Jets are coming. So the New York Jets rank number 1 versus the wide receiver. They give up 25 points a game. They rank number 10 in the red zone. They give up 115 yards. That's it to the wide receiver position. That is second best in the NFL behind the Tennessee Titans. And a 0.6 chance for a touchdown. You're going to have Sauce. You're going to have Reed. I mean, both corners on each side, no matter where they line them up, it's going to be a tough matchup. And Kyler Murray's been struggling, man. He only scored 4 fantasy points last week, and I was really low on Kyler last week. I'm going to be really low on Kyler again. And I really do think that these Jets are coming for vengeance, and they're going to become a playoff team here down the stretch. Right after Marvin Harrison is Jalen Waddle. Talked about him. Coming in at the end of tier 3 here at wide receiver 23 is going to be Tank Dell. Now, this one is dependent, right? So this is dependent on Nico Collins being in this game or not being in this game. Because if Nico Collins isn't in this game, I like to raise Tank Dell up a ton here. I'd probably put him in the top 12 to 13. So this is me just, playing the odds here. So if you listen this far, this is why you listen to this far. So just looking at the rankings and flying through the video and seeing where they are. Because the Detroit Lions, they rank 30th versus the wide receiver. They give up 41.4. They do rank 5th in the red zones. Like I said, good front sevens, always kind of good in the red zone. So 209 pass yards a game. That is dead last in the NFL, only behind the Minnesota Vikings. So if Tank Dell is out there, he's probably going to, if Nico Collins isn't out there, he's probably going to see 10 plus targets. He's probably going to have 15 plus fantasy points with a chance for a bomb. But if Nico Collins is out there, I still like him as like a wide receiver 2 or 3, because the matchup, you're going to need to score. The Detroit Lions put up tons of points, and they run all over you as well, but the Texans' run D is their strength. So I think this is going to be one of those games where Tank Dell can absolutely explode if Nico Collins is not out there. So just keep that in mind. I would put him about, 12, 13, 14 range if Nico Collins misses this game. We talked about Khalil Shakir. Coming up behind him, DeAndre Hopkins. Did I call it or did I not call it? I hope you were live for that stream, man. I told you DeAndre Hopkins was going for 20 points, and look what happened against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 2 touchdowns. Gets the, starts rolling with Patrick Mahomes. You're going to see this. This is going to become an absolute just explosion down the stretch here. He's never had a quarterback this good in his entire career. And look, he starts doing the Titan dance, it was just, remember the Titans? It was so good, man. I loved all of it. But now you get one of the toughest matchups. And this comes with like a caveat here, right? So, like I said for the Ravens game last week, I thought Patrick Surtain would be shadowing Zay Flowers all over the place. He did not. Now, he shadowed everyone in most, like 80% of the games this year. So if Patrick Surtain is not out there shadowing D-Hop, like I think they should be after that game, I'll put D-Hop up in the top 15. But I'm going to play the game of they kind of messed up last week, and now you're going to get Patrick Surtain back shadowing D-Hop here, which is one of the toughest quarter matchups you can get. But, I mean, he still has a high touchdown upside. He's still a phenomenal wide receiver. And when you get Patrick Mahomes, man, I just can't wait to see what happens from here. It's just a tough matchup this week for him. So the Denver Broncos, they do rank 9th versus the wide receiver. They give it 27.8. They rank 15th in the red zone, so middle of the pack. Touchdown upside is there. 127 yards, which is top 10. So they're very good all the way around. And 0.7 chance for a touchdown here. I mean, honestly, when you have DeAndre Hopkins and Patrick Mahomes, I think he can get a touchdown any single game. Again, this is just one of the tough matchups, and I don't know how it's going to play out. I was very, thrown off by Patrick Surtain not guarding Zay Flowers, so it's up in the air. So I'd put it as, if Surtain shadows him, this is where I'd rank D-Hop. If Surtain doesn't, and we have another one of those weird games, he's a top 15 wide receiver. Right behind him is going to be Calvin Ridley and the Tennessee Titans. They're probably going to get absolutely smashed in this game versus the Chargers. But what did I say like 2 weeks ago, man? Go buy Calvin Ridley as soon as DeAndre Hopkins was traded. And look what's happened. 23 targets in the past 2 games. That's a 12.5 target rate. He's averaging 100 plus yards in those games. I mean, he's the only thing they have. So even if the matchup is absolutely terrible, which the Chargers are a very good defense, but the Chargers' weak spot, if they have one, right? So if you're looking at it, this is a weak spot. This is how good this Charger defense is. They rank 5th. This is their weakest. They're good versus the run, good versus the quarterback. They're good everywhere. So they rank fifth, giving up 27 points a game. They rank ninth in the red zone, 127, pass yards allowed, which is top 10 there as well. 0.8 touchdown chance, but still, you're going to be playing from behind. You're going to see 10 plus targets. You're going to see yards, and he's a flexible play weekly because DeAndre Hopkins is out of town. And like people forget that Calvin Ridley's good at football, even though the quarterback play is bad. Volume is king. And just look at the numbers I gave you, dude. If you're getting 23 targets, a 12 target rate a game, that is what you want in fantasy football, no matter what the matchup is. Coming in behind him is going to be number 28, Jordan Addison, and everything is now opened up for the Vikings, right? I talked about the Jacksonville Jaguars with Jettas, but I'll bring up this point as well. You're probably going to get TJ Hawkinson a little more involved now. So you're going to have even more options, more things to worry about. That's going to open everything up for Justin Jefferson and Addison even more. This matchup is great. I'm okay flexing Jordan Addison this week. I have him at wide receiver 28. Wide receiver 30, Josh Downs. So it's just tough matchup here. And I honestly think that the Colts are just playing Joe Flacco. I know they said he's playing for the rest of the year. I don't buy that. I know they're just playing him right now because the stretch is literally Houston, Minnesota, Buffalo, New York Jets, Detroit. And I don't think they wanted to get Anthony Richardson killed by 5 straight teams and just have social media going bonkers on him. But Josh Downs has been a target hog. 9 targets the past 2 games. That's 18 targets total. He's had an average of 80 yards a game. He popped 1 touchdown. He got another one called back, or not called back, but like down at the 1, which should have been another touchdown. But you get the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills have 3 corners that rank in the top 12 PFF across the board. They're one of the best pass defenses. They rank 6th versus the pass, 27 points. They rank 3rd in the red zone, so top 4 to 5 defense all the way around. 120 yards allowed, which is top 10 as well, and a 0.7 chance for a touchdown. And the Bills are going to be getting after the statue Joe Flacco in the pocket. So if Downs isn't like the quick option or quick read go-to, or, even could be garbage time, maybe he eats some here. I'm just not as high on Josh Downs this week because of the matchup. I really do love Josh Downs. I just think it's going to be a very, very tough matchup. That's why I have Michael Pittman not even ranked in the top 36 either. Heading out of tier 5, this is going to be wide receiver 31, and it's tough here as well. Ladd McConkey gets the Tennessee Titans. They rank 3rd versus the wide receiver, 26 points a game, 11th in the red zone, so top 5 to 6 defense all the way around. 108 yards allowed passing, number 1 in the NFL. Snead maybe back out there as well. So, it's going to be super tough here for the Chargers. And I know I like Ladd McConkey and the way the Chargers are passing the ball now, coming off the bye. So, before the bye, the first 4 games, they didn't even have 30-plus pass attempts. Now they've gone every single game with 30-plus pass attempts. So they're opening up Herbert. It's just a tough matchup here, and I think the game script is going to tend more to J.K. Dobbins here. Number 32 is going to be Courtland Sutton, and he gets McDuffie, and you get the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. This is not going to be fun for Bo Nix. This is not going to be fun for the Denver Broncos in any way, shape, or form. They rank 7th versus the wide receiver, get 27 points. But if they get to the red zone, the Kansas City Chiefs are 2nd worst in the red zone versus the wide receiver, giving up 9.3. So Sutton will have a touchdown upside if they get to the red zone area. There's a 1 touchdown a game given to a wide receiver and 106.4 yards as well. So my bad. Never mind. 106.4 for the Chiefs is number 1 in the NFL. Tennessee Titans were number 2. I got that wrong. So the Chiefs are the number 1 pass defense. I'm not touching Courtland Sutton this week. I don't like him as a start unless it's desperation. And we talked about the Kansas City Chiefs. So Xavier Worthy. I mean, I don't know how many times I have to tell you guys this. I've been saying this since week 1 when he had his big game, guys. This is the most boom or bust player you can have. And now that DeAndre Hopkins is there, I don't even know if you want to start this guy ever. So it's going to be really rough from here on out for Xavier Worthy. But Jamison Williams off the 2-game suspension, lifted by the NFL for Viagra, whatever was going on with him. I talked about the Lions. I talked about the matchup here versus the Houston Texans. Could be a big boom game for him. But again, I don't like boom or bust players. That's just not my style in fantasy football. But I have, hang on, before I say that, I have put him in the top 18 that 1 week. I was like, if there's ever a week to play him, that was it. That was a good call there. But I just don't like, players that are just home run hitters. That's ranking them. I always go lower. Number 36 is going to be Pop Dizzle Douglas DeMario D. He's been like a sneaky fantasy asset that people just aren't paying attention to. So I know it's the Patriots. I know it's an ugly offense. I know you got Drake May. He doesn't look bad for the weapons he has. But, even look at last week, Tennessee, one of the top defenses versus the wide receiver. He sees 9 targets, still gets 10 fantasy points. That's not bad. Now you get the Chicago Bears. Doesn't get any better there. They're the second ranked defense versus the wide receiver. They're probably going to get Brisker. They're probably going to get Gordon back as well this week. Really going to help the Chicago Bears defense over the top. So they rank second versus the wide receiver. They rank first in the red zone. They give up 129 yards, which is top 5, and they give up a 0.5 touchdown chance. But if you're behind in the game, and you need to pass heavy, which could happen here, I could see DeMario getting 10 points again. So I'm going to leave him at wide receiver 36. I don't love it. I don't hate it. But that is the top 36 for week 10. Hey. Thanks for rocking with me today, guys. That is the end of the episode. That is my wide receiver rankings for week 10, top 36 tiers. So before you guys head out, make sure you smash that like, make sure you smash that subscription, turn that bell on. It helps me out a ton. I will be live this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I had the birthday weekend last week. Thank you guys for all came out for the stream. Everything is absolutely amazing. And if you guys can't make any live streams and you have any questions you want, make sure you drop those questions down below. One of my goals is to answer every single one of them, help you get that weekly win and get you that ultimate goal of a championship, guys. And my next video will be my tight end rankings. And that's it for me. Sleazeball out. Hope to see you guys in the next one.